Who in the hell is Mel Kiper? It's been 3 decades since the former Indianapolis Colts general manager Bill Tobin uttered that famous phrase during a live TV feud with NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. And looking back at 1994, sure, you could have asked who in the hell is Mel Kiper anyways.
You know, we got a guy up there, who in the hell is Mel Kiper in a way? I mean, here's a guy that...
He was just an unknown draft analyst back then. But his feud with Tobin changed the TV coverage of the NFL draft forever and became one of the most memorable and bizarre moments in draft history. 30 years later, Mel Kiper has become the father of NFL mock drafts. He's the most watched football analyst come draft day, and his success has spawned a whole new generation of mock draft analysts and commentators who've learned to duplicate Mel's talent prior to the most anticipated NFL offseason event of the year. Hell, Mel Kiper has even crossed over into the entertainment world and has become so popular that even comedian Frank Caliendo does a spot-on impersonation of him, debating with fellow ESPN football analyst Todd McShay.
Todd. When you take a look at his production, the SEC is an outside linebacker playing through an injury.
You have to admit, that's some funny stuff right there. But nobody seemed to be more confident than Kiper in front of those cameras talking about hundreds of college prospects. Sure, you might be thinking, Mel Kiper? He always misses with his takes. The Jamarcus Russell type takes. But NFL fans are quick to judge Kiper by his worst misses. Sure, he's not always accurate with it, but he sure does make it entertaining. But just how did Kiper single-handedly change the NFL draft forever? How did he become the king of NFL mock drafts? In today's NFL, draft day is a big deal. It's the highlight of the offseason. It's where teams are reshaping their future and drafting their franchise players. And us fans are dreaming that our favorite teams are going to be picking those critical type players that we all know we should be picking, and hoping that the front office doesn't get too cute by picking a player they really love ahead of a player in a position they really need help with. But of course, we love some draft day shenanigans, and a big part of that is Mel Kiper. But back in the day, nobody gave a damn about NFL drafts. The draft wasn't even televised on TV because the league thought that nobody would watch it. I mean, it's just teams picking college players. Why would that be interesting? If your team owned the #1 overall pick, you were more interested. And maybe you were just curious to see where the Heisman Trophy Award winner landed. But that was about it. The players got their phone call from the coach or owner, ESPN made their announcements and the highlights, and that was it. And well, NFL Sunday Night Football executive producer Fred Gaudeley had some strong words about the most important event in the revolution of the NFL draft. He said this: "The single greatest thing that ESPN did for itself as it relates to the NFL draft was hire Mel Kiper." Yes, ESPN did draft Mel Kiper as an NFL draft analyst back in the day when draft analysts weren't really even a thing. In fact, in his first contract with ESPN, Kiper received a grand total of $400. But for Kiper, that was just the start. He knew what he could do. That might have been his first big stint as an analyst, but he was no rookie. In fact, he was handing out scouting reports to NFL GMs even before ESPN was created. Born in Baltimore, Maryland, Mel Kiper Jr. only had one thing on his mind: football. But not as a quarterback jockey, but as the top draft analyst in the country. Ever since he was a senior in high school, Kiper had been producing an annual draft book listing in-depth information about the top prospects in America. Yes, in high school. And how old is he nowadays? Over 60? Yeah, that's how long he's been doing this. This is his life's work. Armed with just a telephone in hand and an insatiable passion for football, he thought of an idea. Why didn't he sell all of this information to NFL GMs who were in dire need of this valuable information? Now, picture this: a young Kiper hunched over a desk cluttered with papers, dialing up NFL executives and coaches to offer his unsolicited opinions on draft prospects. It's the epitome of the American dream in every professional football fan, isn't it? Hell, I can remember doing mock drafts and hypothetical free agency signings and trades with my coworkers, and even my boss, who's a huge Green Bay Packers fan. And Mel Kiper got to give this information to NFL front offices across the league. A literal dream come true. I remember doing radio shows when I was 18, 19, all over the country, Kiper said on ESPN Daily. Everybody at the time thought I was 40 years old. Nobody knew I was 18 or 19. Nobody even asked. Kiper said that he approached Ernie Accorsi first, then general manager of the Baltimore Colts, while he was still a student in high school. Accorsi told him that there was a huge market for draft information. and suggested that Kiper turn it into a business. And so he did, the Kiper Enterprises. Despite facing skepticism and ridicule from some in the industry, after all, who was this kid with the funky hair telling seasoned professionals how to do their jobs? Kiper refused to be deterred. He continued to hone his craft, tirelessly analyzing players and perfecting his draft predictions. Of course, he recognized Kiper's potential as he was offered his dream job after the 1982 season, a front office position with the Colts. Unfortunately, the team moved to Indianapolis, leaving Kiper behind. Kiper then signed with ESPN in 1984, but was relatively unknown since the draft was still not as big as it is today. It was that bizarre moment 10 years later in 1994 when Mel Kiper's career took an unexpected turn.
I think it's a typical Colt move. I mean, here's a team that needed a franchise quarterback. To pass up a Trent Dilfer when all you have is Jim Harbaugh, give me a break. That's why the Colts are picking second every year in the draft, not battling for the Super Bowl like other clubs in the National Football League.
With Kiper doing his role as a draft analyst back then, he criticized the Colts for their first-round picks. Well, then Colts GM Bill Tobin did not appreciate the way Kiper said it, and went on a complete meltdown live on TV.
Who we have to take. We don't have to take anybody that Mel Kiper says we have to take. He's never been a coach, he's never been a scout, he's never been an administrator, and all of a sudden he's an expert.
Just fireball after fireball thrown at Kiper, which had never really been seen before in an NFL draft. Tobin seemed genuinely upset by Kiper's criticism, but the ESPN executives loved the attention the rant brought to the draft. And well, just 2 seasons after that, the Colts fired Tobin, and Kiper utilized the beef to skyrocket himself to stardom. His annual mock drafts were actually heavily respected, to the point that NFL scouting departments were subscribing to his draft reports. Some executives even admit that they were double-checking their own player evaluations against Kiper's. Jerry Angelo, director of player personnel with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 1987 to 2000, and general manager of the Chicago Bears from 2001 to 2011, said Kiper's annual draft book helped him strategize, from moving up and trading down or staying put to get a player he wanted. Since then, the NFL draft has become the second most anticipated event in the NFL season, only behind the Super Bowl. The annual hit-or-miss takes, the bold statements, the hair, the yearly top 25 draft prospects, it is a spectacle to watch, and it adds excitement to the draft. For decades, Kiper has been the top guy on the NFL draft boards. He's the voice of the NFL draft, and he made it into his family business. And I did say Kiper's predictions are kinda hit or miss, and that is absolutely right. Sometimes he misses badly. And that's why he's always been the center of ridicule for most NFL fans, rating Aaron Rodgers a C, giving Ryan Leaf his 8th highest QB rating ever, Russell Wilson as a bench material player, and Mike Williams as a future Hall of Famer. And that list can go on and on and on. There's also this controversy that Kiper has close friends who are agents, and he deliberately lifts up their clients. But of course, there are going to be controversies when you're making a name for yourself and are on top of the NFL scouting mountain. But hey, at least he has the guts to make his boldest predictions and has the fearless demeanor of standing by his predictions with unwavering conviction. His ability to identify under-the-radar prospects and foresee their impact at the professional level has solidified his reputation as a visionary in the realm of player evaluation. Kiper's unapologetic approach to voicing his assessments, even in the face of skepticism, has undoubtedly contributed to his widespread fame. Whether dissecting a player's skill set or analyzing team dynamics, Kiper's eloquence and clarity resonate with audiences, making him an indispensable asset to NFL draft coverage. He just knows everything off the top of his head. You even barely see him consulting his notes. Kiper's also freaking relentless. Kiper's even been seen scouting 7th and 8th graders, already scouting their tendencies and looking for potential top prospects around the country. Plus, the massive influence of Kiper on the fans of the NFL. When it comes to draft day, everybody suddenly becomes an expert like Kiper, pulling some of the boldest and most ridiculous mock drafts and hot takes. But that's why it's fun, right? Just scroll on the internet and social media. There are literally thousands of mock draft sites, and that's all thanks to Mel Kiper Jr. The inclusivity and freedom it gives us are the main reasons we love mock drafts. Plus, it's a junction where college and professional football meet. The audience is just vast. and Kiper's been captivating and even agitating every single one of them. Kiper just loves the moment. He loves the camera and the attention. And he surely has a way of getting every football geek's attention. Every year, the NFL draft rakes in millions of viewers along with stellar ratings. Some names have come and gone, but Kiper has been the constant one. There is no NFL draft on TV without Mel Kiper, said ESPN executive Seth Markman. I think he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for what he's accomplished and what he's brought to this TV event. Mel Kiper has been doing this ever since he was a teenager. For over a decade, all eyes are on Kiper when it gets to late April. Whether you like it or not, Mel Kiper is the man, and he's undisputedly the king of the NFL draft. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on draft day.